All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in live here for this, last minute exclusive live stream that we are doing today, covering the supposed, I don't even know what to call it. I can't believe that they did this. I just can't believe it, to be honest. I mean, it was predictable. It was basically everyone I spoke to said they'll take this guy out. They'll kill Jeffrey Epstein if they have to. Keep the word out. Make sure that those who are roped in don't get roped in. They're going to take him out. But then it's almost like, but it would be too obvious. It'd be too much. It'd be too much of revealing the hand of the globalist and the pedophiles that are roped into this Epstein scandal. But they actually bloody did it. I can't believe it. My jaw was on the floor this morning when I discovered or came across the news. So unbelievable. We have Ryan Dawson with us here, guys, to talk about this and help to break this down and just try to understand what the hell is going on here and why this happened and who's why. Like, how can they be this bold? I don't believe for a second that he committed suicide.
It reminds
Ryan,
me of,
welcome on, by the way, Ryan. Thank you for coming on.
By the way, we might go over some of this stuff if people haven't seen it later, but that's why he was so important to get rid of, not just for the sexual escapades, but also all the money laundering and other crimes that he was involved with, which is not just going to go away now that he died or was suicided, is the word we used to like to
Suicided.
use.
He was suicided. I just don't... The cell is small. Let's just cover the basics first. He was in a small cell. He was on suicide watch because there was already something fishy happened to him. Was that about 2 weeks ago or something? He was found with bruises on his head, unconscious.
They took him off suicide watch, which is also suspicious.
No shit.
You're fine now. Walk it off, but whether he really did kill himself, which I don't think nobody, like Ann Coulter, even the Guardian's calling it apparent suicide, right?
Yeah.
Because it could have been murdered, or he could have been suicided, as we like to say. Yeah. There's so many powerful suspects, though, that it's kind of hard to narrow it down. Like, was it the Clintons? Was it Kirster? Who did this? And it is possible to kill someone in jail. That's not some...
No, I mean, it happens all the time. Guards look the other way. Small bribes, essentially, will make some of the guards just look the other way. So we don't know if it's an inside...
culprits were murdered in prison, Terrence Trenadu, and so this has happened, and that involved the Clintons, by the way.
Exactly. Think about it. The Clinton body bags, was it the hashtag that was trending just a week ago or something? And then that's actually back now as well. And Clinton explicitly said, what did he say? Oh, I went on the flight, a handful of times? I think he actually admitted to, but the log said about 26 times. And the documents that came out, I showed a little bit of these yesterday, from the plaintiff, which is Guffrey, Victoria Guffrey, which was Victoria Roberts previously, and she's in a suit with Ghislaine Maxwell, which is essentially Epstein's a little madam there, setting all these things up. But Clinton was mentioned in there multiple times as well, including like Prince Andrew and stuff like that. They even used one of these original Daily Mail stories for it in some of the court documents. So that's a
fetish.
What, Prince Andrew?
Yeah. There are two women that have accused him now, one of groping and one of full-on sex. And that picture, Epstein actually took the picture you just showed, and Ghislaine Maxwell's in there. Her father was an Israeli spy, by the way.
Yes, Robert Maxwell, Czechoslovakian Jew who came to England and became very powerful, bought up a lot of newspapers over there. And then I don't know how the daughter got roped in with Epstein, but it seems to be part of the same... I don't know what to call it. I mean, what's your take on this? I mean, is it a Mossad network that was doing these blackmailing campaigns with Epstein heading it up, or what was it he was doing, you think?
They're not the only ones. I mean, a lot of rich and powerful see prostitutes and things all the time, but it doesn't usually get to pedophilia. They used to use homosexual blackmail on a lot of when that was still taboo. On a lot of politicians, judges, businessmen. There was the Franklin Credit Union scandal in Boys Town, Nebraska. There's the Larry Craig and Mark Foley and others that have been caught in these kind of stings where they've been having extramarital sex or sex with men, and in this case with children as another way. It involved a lot of Democrats, but I want to be clear, like, it doesn't matter. Like a lot of Dennis Hastert,
they're all doing it.
Speaker of the House, raping little boys. You know, a lot of the other people that Alan, I kept my underwear on. Dershowitz
was that what did he actually say that?
Yes. I couldn't have had sex with her. I kept my underwear on.
Oh man, wow.
Well, then that's
okay. Dershowitz. I mean, and again, let's be clear. Victoria Guthrie was one of the main witnesses that testified that Dershowitz did this. She was mentioning like a bunch of other like Harvard academics and stuff like that too. I mean, she just mentioned a bunch of people, and so I just don't think that there's a coincidence that the documents were unsealed. Was it literally yesterday, right? And there's a lot of names in there. There's a lot of celebrities. I mean, even like Heidi Klum was mentioned in there. Naomi Campbell, Bill Clinton, as I said, obviously a bunch. I haven't even had time to go through all those documents yet. It's
Bill
like, what,
Richardson,
2000?
George Mitchell, the former governor
interesting.
of New Mexico, which is where the rape ranch was, where Epstein fantasized about spreading his DNA and seed and impregnating.
Yeah, it's going to improve humanity with this with this super seed.
A bunch of egg-shaped penis pedophiles walking around.
You know what? I want to play that clip later. Thank you for reminding me about that. The egg-shaped.
Go for it.
We can pull that. Oh man, I mean, it's so transparent. I mean, in terms of like what this is how little they think of us. These people.
Everybody was joking about him getting suicide. He's not going to make it to trial. It was hilarious that they gave him 13 months with 1 million pages of discovery, because 13 months was the original sentence that he never served, right?
Yeah, exactly. Really.
Yeah. He stayed in a townhouse and 6 days a week. He just went back to his Palm Beach rape mansion, where he met with the J.P. Morgan Chase representative, James E. Staley, which is weird. You didn't call him. He's supposed to be in prison, and he's so important that you have to go meet him in person at a rape mansion after knowing that at minimal he had elicited prostitution from a minor.
Yeah.
But they wanted to meet with him. Of course, that's who their JCP Morgan Chase bought out Bear Stearns after the housing bubble fiasco. Mm-hmm. And later, I mean, we'll play this clip and stuff, but I can explain what he was, all that.
No, definitely. I mean, I want to get serious and get into this. I just want to laugh at the absurdity a little bit of this, because it's
by all means, that's why I got
it's so absurd and so like ludicrous, laughable in terms of like, I mean, sure, we can't at this point put a fingerprint on who did it, if there even is going to be a genuine, honest investigation of someone at the prison who was there, who was the guards, what happened. Right? I don't even think we're going to get that, to be honest. But they probably paid off some inmate and some guards to look the other way or so. It's probably that, so that it won't have any links to some big names.
They were confused. They didn't know. They had the story split. Like, okay, did he do it to himself? Was it his cellmate? Why didn't you just ask him? Like, he was still alive, and you found him in the fetal position with marks on his neck. Did he say his cellmate did it, or did he say he tried to kill himself? It was unclear. They just had multiple stories floating around. See, like a little toe in the water to test which one's going to fly better.
Yeah. Well, let's play the famous clip.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Could you please give us your name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis?
Form, vague and definite, and I'm going to give you the first warning, Mr. Coogan, that these types of questions are not only argumentative, but directed in a manner to embarrass Mr. Epstein. If you continue with this type of question, I will adjourn the deposition immediately.
Sir, according to the police department's probable cause affidavit, one witness described your penis as oval-shaped and claimed when erect it was thick towards the bottom but was thin and small towards the head portion, and called it egg-shaped.
Like
Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr.
Now adjourned.
as Mr. Critton has stated, that this is a...
Yeah, he's walking
I'm
out.
willing to continue.
All right, so Mr. Egg-shaped penis is dead. It's official, ladies and gentlemen.
To the autopsy.
Was he? Yeah, exactly. Was he suicide? Was he suicided? Is he? I mean, there's some speculation too. Is the guy? Is he still alive? Right? Is he? Did they? Are we going to see the video? Are we going to see the body? Are we gonna? Are we going to get any of this, Ryan?
I think the still alive story is to discredit the suiciding story. He's not still alive because he's not useful at all. Like if you smuggle him out and do what with him? Like he can't set up financial anything anymore. He can't run his rape rings. He can't go back to any of his properties. Like they need him dead because he has a lot of dirt on a lot of people.
He does. Yes.
And they wanted him gone just more than anybody. Because that's the whole, they're not going to fake his death and help him escape prison. He's useless to them now. I mean, so he had to go. They have to insulate it and blame everything on him. Make it just about him having sex with minors, not mention the sexual blackmail, which was obvious, and no connections to foreign governments, which is obvious.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, thank you for tuning in live here. We're live streaming to YouTube and to DLive. Hi to the DLive audience as well. We're here with Ryan Dawson. We're talking about the breaking news in terms of Epstein's death. And a lot of media reports so far is talking about an alleged suicide because this is so transparent, so ridiculously over-the-top transparent in terms of what this is and the cover-up attempt of this. Now, the current court case that is ongoing between Victoria Jeffery, which previously was named Victoria Roberts, who tried to kind of bail out of the public limelight after some articles came out way back when, got back onto this track, both due to the Miami Herald and the original reporting there, but also because she got a daughter of her own and she realized that one day these predators are out there. They actually might continue. And she kind of had a moment where she realized she has to do something and speak up against that. So that's the parties really that are responsible for raising this issue again, because he got that sweetheart
deal. Civil suit against Maxwell because going after Epstein in Florida wasn't an option. He had immunity. So she went after the groomer, and that will start in 5 days or on the 15th, depending on your time zone. Interesting. Yeah. And more shoes are going to drop in that case too.
Yeah, I mean, that case will go on because, I mean, again, the spider in the center of this web is now gone, taken out for obvious reasons. But there's still a lot of people roped into this, and there still could be, through Ghislaine Maxwell, a lot of names that are dropped here. What do you think?
There are plenty of people still to go after. Epstein was sort of the epicenter. He's the one that was the most flamboyant and got caught, but he didn't operate this by himself. The guy saying, "Hey, kid, get in the van," that's a solo operation. Somebody, building private islands and DNA plants and, multiple locations of Paris, New York, New Mexico, Florida, Little St. James, which he called Little St. Jeffrey's. That takes an organization. And he was grooming girl. All of these victims that have come forward have said, other women or other victims help groom. And we have to remember there was a huge settlement case where a lot of victims were basically paid off to shut up. Like they had a settlement, meaning like, okay, this was done, but apparently, waving enough money in front of their face made it go away. Not everyone took that deal though, but most of them did. And that's how Ghislaine and Epstein did away with it before. And then, of course, he has the sweetheart deal from Acosta.
Yeah, who was threatened. He was told he was an informant, leave him alone.
Right. But he isn't the one that really developed that deal. It was Epstein lawyers.
They essentially told him, and Acosta was open about that. He said, I was approached and told me he's intelligence, leave him alone. Don't go after him, essentially. And he just followed suit, essentially. I mean, which shows he's just a puppet, too. He's also doing the bidding of someone else. That's why Acosta's there.
So that question means intelligence for whom, right?
Exactly. Was it Mossad? Because an FBI informant thing, I showed that article, too. Some drone footage from Rusty Shackelford, by the way. He has done some tremendous work on going to the island and showing that. But where is it here? Yeah, this one from the Daily Beast. Jeffrey Epstein became a government informant as part of a sweetheart plea deal. I think that's like stage 2 in the process, right? This is like, I think he already was part of an intelligence network before the FBI approached him. I think he was Mossad before that.
FBI plea deal isn't about raping kids. It's about flipping evidence on Bear Stearns. And Barry Christer, who's an ADL award winner, by the way, was the lawyer that got him the sweetheart jail and protected him. And everybody around him has loyalty to the state of Israel. His financing comes from a Mossad clique, and he was even procuring girls for the former prime minister of Israel, Ehud Barak.
Yes, that's right. He was mentioned. He traveled to the island too. A lot of powerful people. But say that again. An ADL lawyer involved in this.
Yeah, an ADL award winner, Barry Christer. Is
award winner. Okay,
the deal the first time.
Yeah.
And his financing from Leslie Wexner isn't just some rich Jewish guy that owns Victoria's Secret and L Brands and all. He set up the mega group along with the Bronfman family of Seeger liquor fame and Michael Steinhardt and a couple other Jewish billionaires with the sole purpose. The sole purpose of this group is to influence policy to make it favorable for Israel.
Yes, that's what I believe.
Then, on top of that, I mean, that's their own mission statement. So it's not like speculation. And the Bronfmans, of course, their children, at least, are tied in with the Nexium affair, which is also a pedophilia rape ring. And Claire Bronfman pleaded guilty to her role in procuring women for this cult. And the Bronfmans, of course, I mean, these aren't just some Israeli partisans. They have an Epstein map here. If people want to, I don't know if the camera's back.
Yeah, let me pull that up. Go a little closer with it. People can see.
Sure. If you get that.
It's your crazy conspiracy chart with all the lines drawn on it.
Well, this is all verifiable. So Charles and Edgar Bronfman are part of the mega group. And this is the president of the World Jewish Congress. And then you've got the chairman of the United Jewish Communities, which includes United Jewish Appeal, United Israel Appeal, and the Council of Jewish Federations. And there's a bunch of subgroups there. And I'd recommend this book by Grant S. Smith called Big Israel, if you want to know more about the United Israel Appeal and some of these groups. A lot of attention is always on like the ADL and APAC and stuff, which there should be, but these other groups seem to skirt attention for whatever reason. But yeah. The Bronfman Seeger liquor family is also who was blood related or married to John McCain's family. And of course, Admiral McCain covered up the USS Liberty. But this group is, I mean, president of World Jewish Congress. Okay. All these groups. And they set up Mega, right? And it's a group of Jewish billionaires. Michael Steinhardt, by the way, has been 7 times accused of sexual harassment from his own employees as recently as last May. Right, just a couple months before Epstein, they're putting pressure on this group. So Claire Bronfman's caught in Nexium, and then you see that this Gillespie B. Tomei, who is they set up 3 corporations out of Panama. For the purpose was that they were trying to do a hostile takeover of St. Joe's Minerals, right? And Bear Stearns comes in. So they set up and they got 1,055 stock options and 3,000 shares all the day before the hostile takeover is about to occur.
Oh, boy.
It was March 10th and 11th. It was all going down. And Epstein comes in. And, of course, he was hired by Ace Greenberg because he used to date his daughter when he taught high school there. Forged his credentials, by the way. Never graduated from college. Said he went to Stanford. Didn't. He ends up at the pretty prestigious school, Dalton. Probably not so prestigious now. but he knew Lynn and Ted, the children of Ace Greenberg. So they used the Transatlantic Financial SA, Near Investments SA, and something called Finvest Panama, which I'd never even heard of. But those were the fronts for laundering money for this takeover. Epstein and Bronfman colluded to sort of tell on their partner in crime who fell on the sword and got all the blame for the Ponzi scheme. Essentially, they set this guy up. And then he went and did a Ponzi scheme with Steve Hoffenberg, who's in prison right now. And so, but to get back to the Mossad stuff, that I'm just mentioning this because that's what the FBI had him flipping on. But when Wexner gave him a $77 million house, that should be a huge red flag. Okay, you've got somebody who's part of a group with people who are all involved with the largest Jewish organizations in the world, total loyalty to Israel, whose kids are involved with sexual predator cults, who covered up the USS Liberty attack, whose family just is known in Canada and the United States of shoveling out the money to pro-Zionist candidates. And then you've got their partner setting up the sole really recipient, or the sole hedge fund for Epstein. His only client really was Leslie Wexner, who gave him property, made him the power of attorney. And then, if that's not enough, set up the Wexner Foundation, puts Epstein on as the chairman of the Wexner Foundation, and then they funnel money through that, which is totally illegal, to Ehud Barak, because this is an American donating money to an Israeli politician.
Yeah.
But of course, he doesn't donate. He goes to the Wexner Foundation. I guess they set it up over there. But he's the chairman of it, and he's American. He's surrounded by and sponsored by this mega Mossad group. And then Ehud Barak did get elected, by the way, who is known for protecting rapists, right? His diplomat, you can turn me off anytime, but I'm just going to keep going.
Oh, no.
His diplomat to Brazil, Ari
Sure.
Sher.
Yeah.
You probably heard this story, probably remember it back in the day, but
Yeah.
Ari Sher had a ring in Brazil where they were selling cassette tapes at that time, and then CDs of underage children engaged in sex acts. And that then escalated to parties where Israeli tourists would come and engage in acts of pedophilia, basically pimping out young girls. And I don't mean like 14, I mean like 8 and 9-year-old kids.
That's right.
And
yep.
there was a Hebrew language teacher named George Steinberg, who was his partner in crime with Ari. And they screwed up because in the background of the photos was the swimming pool of the Israeli consulates. They were doing this on government property, by the way. George got thrown over to the bus, but Ari just fled back to Israel. It was all over the Portuguese news and stuff. I think I saw like 11 seconds of it and it didn't mention Israelis. It just, they just covered barely on U.S. media at all. 2 a.m. I had to go dig and find where they would even mention it. This diplomat was then, they tried to recycle him into to Australia, who firmly rejected them, knowing what he had done in the past. But Ehud Barak was moving him around, Catholic priest style. You just set up a sex ring for 8-year-olds, and you're selling tapes online and whatever, and physical copies of kids getting raped by adults and kids having sex with each other and all kinds of gross things. And he just let them go. And to pile on that some more, who was the president of Israel in 2000? The prime minister is Ehud Barak. The president is Moshe Katsav, who got convicted of rape. Right? All of them are involved in, and this wasn't children for once. At least it wasn't kids. But he raped 4 different women, came out, he got pegged for at least one of them. And this is what he does. He resigned as president a month before term limits would have made him do it anyway.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, I saw a story. Some people said, well, 15-year-olds or whatever. It's like, it's borderline, maybe, so, kind of thing. But no, he was 8-year-olds. Several articles about that came out talking about that they were trying to procure these really underage girls and stuff. And remember all the CDs. There's an amazing amount.
They did it again in Colombia right after that. Ex-IDF soldiers set up a new ring for Israeli tourists, had hotels and everything, and they were getting girls from Colombia and Venezuela.
Lots in South America for some reason. Yeah. Lots
because
of
they're
activity
impoverished, and what they were doing, the same scam they did in Russia post collapse of the Soviet Union, when you had hyperinflation of the ruble, and they would go to orphanages and they would go on a field trip and just never come back.
Yeah,
and these girls disappeared, and they were sold around the world.
And this is meat. We remind people about that. This is the meat and the means by which they blackmail influential people, politicians. Again, it just as the names there quickly, and I want you to continue on that because it's a very interesting story, but I just want to interject that real quick. Like, when he talks in these documents now that came out about, like, Naomi Campbell is there, and Heidi Klum, and Al Gore, so some of these names that are there. There's so many more mentioned in there, but this is some of the first ones that came out. These are celebrities that are networking in these circles to to either get something out of it or just climb the ladders, if you will, of social climbing. Or worse, they're actually taking part of it. Right? At the very least, if they know about it, they're looking the other way and willing to kind of just play ball in this scheme. Like
or getting used, because one of the scams he did, and I don't know whether they're being part of it or being used, but I'm just in case. What he did was he acted as a Victoria's Secret recruiter.
I was thinking about that. Why he bought up Victoria's Secret? It's very interesting. He didn't create it. Les Wexner bought it up. It was a guy who did it first. He bought it up, and I always felt, first of all, it's such a weird side note here, but their fucking their clothing is literally like toxic. Like it's all synthetic and stuff, and they have all this garbage in it, chemicals and stuff, and like women get like infections and stuff when they're wearing it. But I also felt it was part of like that hypersexualization of like the lingerie kind of pushing that forward with these Victoria's Secret. What I'm saying is it's a way to hypersexualize part of the game and hypersexualizing society, and they ultimately, these predators can ultimately benefit from something like that.
You got to become an angel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I used to date a Victoria's Secret model. I have to try and contact her, see if she knows anything about this. But it's what he tried to molest several model recruits. But if you can have like a Heidi Klum or something, that gives legitimacy. It's like, oh, this guy knows Heidi Klum, and these
she's
girls,
there. I'm
networking. Like 12 years old, are like, oh my gosh, that's an SI model or whatever, and I think, I don't know if she did Victoria's Secret too or not, but whatever. They were using this modeling agency from Jean-Luc Brunel. It's called MC2, like MC squared, and
yeah, that's the article I showed there.
Eastern European girls, and because this is, by the way, that was their fetish, was blonde girls from Eastern Europe.
Yeah, or Scandinavians. Look at the other stuff that came out. 2 Swedish girls, Johanna Sjöström, and then another 15-year-old Swedish girl who was in they threatened to steal her passport. And, Maxwell was part of this. She was mentioned in the recent suit here. And, they were she was terrified, and they would try to force her to have sex in it. It's Nordic girls, Slavic girls. It's, it's all these, easy meat for these Jewish predators, to be honest. It's amazing.
Well, I was going to get to the Anand Khashoggi ships, because they were doing the same thing. These rich Saudis, whose grandfather was Jewish, by the way, just world renowned for having the prostitution yachts. And they had a lot of girls from Ukraine in there, and they would go sail out in international waters. And I mean, girls like in cages, and they did nasty things to them.
Yes.
I don't know if I can say what they did, but, scat kind of stuff, and paid them.
And this is all probably being filmed, Ryan. This is probably all being filmed too, documented. Again, this is how they sink their hooks into you. Like, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about like an elite network of not only pedophiles, but just like predators and abusers. And if you want to ascend anywhere within the ranks of influence and power, you need to play by their rules. This is how they've taken over.
The compromised are promoted intentionally because they're compromised. Yeah. And Anand's nephew was Jamal Khashoggi, the one that got bone sawed, and they knew where he was because of NSO's software, Pegasus, which is a backdoor to anybody's phone, especially iPhones. But that was built from the software called the Promise software, developed by the United States. Yep. And guess who stole that?
Israel stole that.
Robert Maxwell. Yeah, Robert Maxwell.
Oh, he stole it?
Ghislaine Maxwell's father stole it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know about that particular connection. Yeah, so 2 8-year-old girls for the pedophile sexual abuse state court documents filed with victims' lawyers, and it was many of the messages are from Jean-Luc Brunel that you mentioned, modeling agency, who has been accused of sexual assault and rape by multiple women. So this came out, this is not too long ago, just a few days ago. But
he looks like a pedophile.
It even says in the Daily Mail,
just look at
pedophile. It says under there, Jesus. But part of it is also, I just searched for like Les Wexner real quick and to check some of the news and stuff, and it's like, Epstein's tried to funnel money from him. Oh, poor Wexner. He's being he was also. Do you know what I'm saying? They're trying to immediately damage control and cover, and you can't even find like the good articles anymore on top hits in Google. It's all buried.
They also set up reporting software, which is now called Carbine or something, which also gave money to Ehud Barat again. And this is why this all went down, because Ehud Barat is a political rival of Netanyahu who has an election in September.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's like, why are they even reporting this at all? I'll be like, well, because they're fighting with each other. And Netanyahu has more sway than Ehud Barat. And Netanyahu was actually tweeting the pictures of Ehud in New York, like with his stupid fur hat and stuff.
Oh, really?
And it turned out he had also gone to the Caribbean. So this guy, though, if you remember, everyone remembers Harvey Weinstein. Remember the case where Harvey Weinstein hired ex-Mossad agents from this group called Black Cube to harass his victims?
Yes.
Guess who introduced the Black Cube to Harvey Weinstein?
Epstein?
Ehud Barat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All
the
right.
Prime Minister of Israel, who's financed by Epstein and Wexner, by the way.
Yeah, Blackstone. There's nothing behind that name, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, let's listen to this real quick. I haven't listened to it. It's only 50 seconds. Reporter who broke the story on Epstein scandal. This surprised me most. Julie K. Brown from the Miami Herald reacts to the multimillionaire's death by suicide. Let's just listen to see what she says about this. Let me turn up the volume here because it might be something interesting. I'm not sure.
Julie, you've done so much.
She's done good work.
Yeah.
All of the time and effort that you've put into digging into this story, what has surprised you most?
I think what has surprised me most is that, that there were so many people. This was, he was almost hiding in plain sight. There were so many people that knew or suspected or saw things that were wrong. And, it's kind of upsetting to think that these girls were sort of almost, collateral to some people's careers, who kind of decided that this wasn't an important story or important enough of a crime that they should have pursued it or stood up and said, look, we've got to do something to stop him.
Nope, they all covered. They all covered for each other, and it's just this disgusting display of no backbone. It's self-serving. Let me pause that. Lot of self-serving individuals who think that they could climb the ranks or get something out of it. And I mean, I can't help to think about these like Eyes Wide Shut type kind of scenarios. All these supermodels and stuff, and it's being filmed. People are being blackmailed. It's new recruits that are coming in. And of course, they need young underage girls to kind of feed some of these predators with, too.
Like Conan. And he'd have girls flanking both sides and be in his throne chair. The guy had a God complex. That's why he wanted to freeze his brain and his penis, which also just means it makes the suicide more unbelievable because the guy is trying to be immortal and spread his DNA everywhere.
Exactly.
And he was also meeting with his lawyers every day. He spent most of the time preparing the defense. Yeah. So why suddenly hang yourself?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And there's even a question of the technicality of that in the type of cell that he was in. Is it even possible? We know that everything was in lockdown. I'll pull up a graph here later, see if I can search for it and find it. But, a graph of the cell was released. And, it's like, how did he even do this? And FBI said, what was it? I saw this here. There was an investigation now that's going to be opened by them. But I mean, again, if he was an informant for them already, what level of honesty are we even going to get from them? They're basically just going to tell us, well, this is what happened, this is what it did, and like shut up and believe us, kind of thing. And there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do to try to find out a different story, which is so frustrating about this.
Yeah, no informant of any intelligence agency can rape kids either. Like, you do that, you're no longer an informant, you're a criminal. I mean, that's that. Yeah. So what's so important that they had to tell him? Like, the two people he allegedly informed on were both acquitted and nothing came of it. So it's like pro wrestling play fight or whatever. I mean, he's so guilty of assisting in creating toxic commercial paper after creating a structured investment vehicle to help offload toxic assets from Bear Stearns to make it look like their books were balanced when they weren't, and did it twice. I mean, he set up Bear Stearns set up a division in Ireland to get around U.S. regulations, and then Bear Stearns Dublin set up something called Liquid Funding Ltd., but it was 40% financed by Epstein, which means actually Leslie Wexner, and then Epstein was the head of the board. And what Liquid Funding did is it just acted as a place for Bear Stearns. Bear Stearns was engaged in all this CDO shenanigans during the housing bubble, giving subprime mortgages and so on. And mortgage-backed securities that were toxic and unsellable, they just sold them to their own subsidiary. So they made their books look balanced at the end of the month. And in the beginning of the next month, buy them back again. So they're not really sales. But Epstein took portions of this and created commercial paper, which somehow got AAA ratings because they bribed the rating agencies. It got tier 1 status. And then this ended up in several different money market funds that I saw. There was JP Morgan's money market, of course, Frank Russell Investment, and Dreyfus Money Market. And I'm talking like 135 million, 125 million, 100 million, hundreds of millions of dollars each. And then, of course, JP Morgan's would end up buying Bear Stearns in a fire sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the senior loan was created by Maiden Lane LLC, which was just this made-up company by the New York Federal Reserve that pumped in $28.8 billion to JP Morgan's mere $1.2 billion to buy Bear Stearns, right? Which included, that's $30 billion for all their toxic assets. And then later, JP Morgan would get $835 billion, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I had to look at my book. It was over $800 billion from the Federal Reserve, not the New York Federal Reserve, but the Washington one. So $1 trillion almost, just from that venture. What's interesting is that Liquid Funding, the company he set up in Bermuda as a sieve, resurfaced in 2011, this time not for Bear Stearns, but for JP Morgan Chase, which is still Bear Stearns. I mean, that's who bought him out. So that's why in the beginning, when I was saying James E. Staley is going and visiting Epstein in person in Palm Beach at the rape mansion while he's supposed to be in jail, but he's on work release, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why can't you why are you doing business with him at all? Why can't you call him? What was so important that you had to go do it in person? Kids?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's very, very bizarre. Here's some recent footage about 3 days old from the island too. Of course, there was a huge fire there. There was The Intercept reported that Epstein had shipped in, was it a 53-pound shredder or something like that to the island? I think a lot of things already, Ryan, has been destroyed in terms of the evidence that probably was available at some point.
A tile and carpet cleaner.
That's right, carpet. Exactly, that's right. Wow, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that this happened I don't know. Are they going to get away with this? Are we going to see any? What do you think the benefit to them is now when he's out of the picture?
He had construction done on Greater St. James too, which with tunnels and whatnot, which he was doing illegally. He just set up a new LLC and did it anyway. I just saw here, Bear Stearns, what I say, 853. I think I said 835. It was worse. It was 853 billion. Wow. That's according to the GAOA audit, the Government Accountability Office, that was done. And a lot of people are always saying audit the Fed like we did. And turns out they spent trillions of dollars. And it's my book, The Separation of Business and State, cheap plug. But, there was that huge movement with Ron Paul, and then an audit was conducted. It wasn't as full as what we wanted, but we got a lot of damning information and just nothing happened. And so for financial nerds like myself, this Epstein affair with the kids and the sex angle and all, which is really terrible. The other part of it is it breathes new life back into these financial scandals. Oh, look at Prince Andrew with a 17-year-old.
That's right. That's Victoria Roberts right there.
They took her out and got her wasted before that picture.
Yeah, of course they did. Ghislaine in the background there. And again, that's the two in the current lawsuit that's going on right now. So, this is...
It's just weird. How old is Prince Andrew in there? Like, an adult, like...
40s probably? Late 30s? Mid-30s?
Way older than 17. Like,
yes.
I don't even know any 17-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like, why are you hanging out and drinking with them and then posing like that? That she got that picture because Epstein had said, you're going to meet a prince, right? This time, like the next one's going to be a prince. And she told her mother and grandmother that she was going to meet a prince. is what she told Epstein. So she's like, I got to have a picture with the prince because I already told my mom and grandma. So she took this innocent-ish picture with the prince on her own camera. Epstein took it on her camera.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it existed, because she had that one. All the other ones are archived, in the vaults and whatnot. They did get into the vault in New York with that. That's interesting too, because it had an Austrian passport with a Saudi Arabian address.
That's right. Yep. Remember that.
Where he had used to go to Spain and France and a couple other countries. I think he did go to Saudi Arabia too.
And the defense had argued, well, it's just to protect Mr. Epstein when he's abroad, you see. But it's still like that's still fraud.
Because he's just because he's Jewish and he's he threatened because he's a Jew who's traveling, so he has to have a fake passport. Get real.
Yeah, I know.
In France and Spain. How no one's gonna know. No one's gonna go, oh, your last name's Epstein. We're gonna get you.
Yeah.
So you had a fake name. You had an address, which I would like to know what that address is, because of this Khashoggi relationship too.
Right.
And see what's going down, because they also had their own rape cruises and whatnot.
Yeah.
See, Epstein's just who got caught.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's it. And it's. Would you think that was a mistake? Was there any suggestion that he was kind of thrown to the wolves here at all, or was it a kind of a mistake that he was caught?
I think they did it because of his connections with Ehud Barat, and because
to get rid of him.
They because he is a real threat to Bibi's chances in this election, because Israel had an election last April and there was basically a tie between the Red and White Party and Likud. And then so they had to issue another election, which is going to be September. Well, a former prime minister is very popular and also the same party that could out Netanyahu, who he and his wife are facing corruption charges, was Ehud Barat. So suddenly Ehud's past comes to haunt him. Oh, look, Jeffrey Epstein's raping kids, and you're witnessed not only in New York, but also flying back and forth to the Caribbean, but maybe he had his underwear on, That's why they threw him under the bus, and then they killed Epstein, and that's that. But the civil suit on Maxwell, unless they start killing witnesses too, which is possible.
I was going to say,
more light on this.
Surprised even the reporter hasn't been offed yet. We'll see what happens here, but there could be a lot of other deaths in the wake
Democrats,
of this.
Right? So they said Trump was on a plane, but Trump's the one that got this going back in 2005 because they recruited girls from Mar-a-Lago, like people's
daughters. And that's when Trump kicked him out at that point. He didn't want anything to do with them.
Yes,
and he was
Trump
vindicated. It was vindicated
Trump
by
likes
the
women,
witnesses.
but he likes adults, right?
Yes.
And Trump is in that sort of model scene, so he probably knew MC2 and stuff, which is in New York as well.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely did. He definitely knew. And
some of the pictures here, folks, are the girls that I'm running here too, and they used, girls that were, the homeless, they didn't have parents, maybe they were drug users, they really the kind of the more vulnerable in society. That's the girls they went after to do all these things and recruit. And to them, I mean, I'm also surprised of how little money they actually pay these girls. First, I'm like, oh, they've been given like thousands of dollars or something. But no, it's just like a couple of $100 here and there to sleep with, sleep with Alan Dershowitz. That would couldn't pay these girls enough money in the world to do that. Jesus.
It's the guy. They would have orgies with all these people that didn't speak English, according to witnesses, and because they're like, "We're going to take your passport away."
Yeah,
the Israelis got caught with a scandal like that back when they were luring girls in again from Eastern Europe, mostly saying, "Oh, you can be a nanny or a maid or whatever." And once they got to Israel, they became sex slaves. They just took them and selling them back and forth. And the Russian mafia, which is not very Russian,
the Russian.
Right.
Mafia. Yeah.
Like Gregory Lukashevsky and then Boris Berezovsky and these guys.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these exiled oligarchs and stuff. I remember back when Pincus Green, who was Mark Rich was his protege, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They got caught in human trafficking. But the whole story about Mark Rich was more on him not paying taxes and like running blockades and doing illegal trades with Glencore because he owned that commodity company and stuff. Bill Clinton gave him a pardon his last day of office.
That's right.
And then Denise Rich financed Hillary Clinton's Senate campaign, and the Clintons too, plural, were on Epstein's planes.
That's correct.
And Hillary Clinton, by the way, does fool around with women. That's
very young girls. That's been reported. That's admitted. Absolutely.
she likes Turkish girls, especially.
Remember that photo of her and was it Christina Aguilera? You remember that photo? I'll see if we can find it. He's staring at her boobs. It's like this, this like old predator
my mom's
witch.
cousin was her bodyguard and witnessed her having sex with women.
Yeah.
And so, I found that out.
Sneaking them up to her room and stuff. And, and that's why kind of Bill could get away with stuff, too. They had a mutual understanding, like you can do whatever you want type of thing. It was just a political relationship.
And wasn't it interesting that Lewinsky ropes him in? Gross, Bill. And
he'd do anything, that guy.
Some people don't understand the U.S. system about impeachment. You have to get impeached and convicted. Like getting impeached doesn't mean anything. The Senate will have to confirm, and when it's confirmed, then you're convicted. Then you're out like Nixon kind of thing. And what happened was Bill was impeached, but not confirmed. And what he did was he started bombing Iraq, and so they didn't confirm his impeachment. And hours after that was over, he stopped bombing Iraq. Like they tried to get him to do it. They ended up getting Bush to Lester to do it. But Israel wanted war with Iraq. I mean, that's why there was the original war in 91 anyway. And Scuds fired where? At Tel Aviv. And the Patriot missile system had a big commercial and yada, yada. But they wrote about it in their own policy papers. And then they've got these obviously Mossad-connected blackmail rings. I mean, to the Prime Minister of Israel while Clinton is president. Ed Hudbrat is also president. He's the one, setting up Black Cube for Harvey Weinstein, protecting Ari Sher and George Steinberg, and getting money from Wexner and Epstein, and visiting the properties. They're into kitty fucking, and that was all going on at the same time. And then you find out that Clintons were also on these trips. It's all of them. And Clintons are pardoning Rich and Pincus Green, and they're involved with the Russian mob that have been running human trafficking and uranium. And then we know Hillary's other uranium ordeals. It's all a big network. And I've made this map video that somehow is still on YouTube. It's weird. My Ghislaine Maxwell video is not on YouTube. It's a BitChute only kind of thing. I got suspended, like triple strikes in one day.
Didn't that just happen, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, again, right? Like, because they showed me in February, and through appeals, I got one of the strikes removed. So I just had to be real careful and wait it out for 3 months. And then almost immediately they did it again. So I have to wait till almost Halloween. I get one strike removed October 20th and the next one removed October 30th before I can unprivatize my videos, because even unlisted videos got flagged. And I found out there's a Discord group dedicated to me. It's saying, here's his unlisted videos. Go through and flag them with instructions and everything, right?
Yep.
And I know it's the SPLC. I know it is. But
they don't like that this is getting out there, this kind of stuff, know. And of course, at the meantime, as you said, like the ADL crowds and stuff are moralizing. There's people giving awards that weaved into a story like this, while they're moralizing and wagging their finger in the face of other people for exposing these cover-ups and these the trail of blood and rape here, essentially. To
Roman Polanski.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Who fled? Guess who his lawyer was?
Tell me.
Mr. I kept my underwear on, Alan Dershowitz.
Now, there is a clip. I want to play. I had it queued up here. I played it with, I think, Adam last time he was on. Let me play a part of this. This is to get into mindset. For those of you guys who didn't see it, we have that video on our YouTube, the Epstein.
All over this too,
yeah. Let me listen to this here, because Epstein has, Dershowitz has some very interesting things to say. It's a video by Brian Young from High Impact Flicks, and he's breaking this down a little bit. Let's listen to this here.
From Dershowitz's own mouth, he didn't choose to defend pedophile Jeffrey Epstein because he thought his client was innocent. He didn't do it because he thought it was a grave injustice to lock away Epstein for having done nothing wrong. He defended him because he knew he couldn't be fired.
I felt I had an obligation to take on the most unpopular cases because I couldn't be fired.
I don't know what the hell kind of reason that is, but let's proceed with a partial recap.
But I'm going to continue to try to get the best deal I can.
Well, this is
I've gotten guilty people acquitted of murder.
I've gotten guilty people acquitted of murder.
If you ever question the phrase lawyers are liars, Here's your proof. The only catch is, at this moment, he's actually telling the truth. Dershowitz is admitting here that he's a professional promoter and defender of evil by way of deceit and crafty legal arguments.
Well, this is where it does get more complicated for you in your personal life, because you're now being sued by one of the women who was involved in that original investigation of Epstein. Virginia Roberts is her name, who claims that Epstein lent her out for sex to some of his friends, including you, when she was underage. You've been very vocal in your denials. Now she's suing you for defamation, saying you're falsely attacking her, trying to intimidate her into silence. You said that you welcome this lawsuit. You want to take it on. Why?
Is there anything that could come out of this guy's mouth that could possibly be believed? So let's listen to him defend himself against allegations that Epstein loaned out a child for sex to Mr. Defender of the Guilty himself.
And I also welcome her coming on the show and accusing me face to face. She has never accused me except under the protection of the litigation privilege, because it's completely false. Let me tell you what the evidence is, just very briefly. Oh, well, let me just tell you what the evidence is.
You have to do it quickly.
Yeah, well.
So go, Mr. Defense Attorney, defend yourself. Prove to us that you didn't have sex with a kid who was loaned out to you by the very serial child sex offender and trafficker you got to go free.
She has an email exchange with a journalist in which she admits she didn't have sex with me. She writes a book manuscript in which she says she knew me, she didn't know me, but she didn't have sex with me. She told her best friend she didn't want to accuse me, but she was pressured to do it by her lawyers. There's a tape recording of her own lawyer saying it would be impossible for me to have sex with her, and she was wrong, simply.
Notice he keeps looking down at his notes. So he had the talking points for his defense down before he even walked on the set. And none of what he says is anything that we can verify.
Wrong. I have travel records showing that I couldn't have been in any of the places she said she had sex with me. I asked Louis Freeh, the former head of the FBI, to do a thorough investigation. He came to the conclusion that she was making a false accusation.
Of course,
Louis Freeh, former head of the FBI.
Anyway, we can pause that. It continues. It's some good reporting. But yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. Look at this. I forgot about that part. Look at this.
One of the most corrupt organizations in the world is going to speak on your behalf. I'm sure Dershowitz has many friends in high places who are willing to cover for him.
I have been falsely accused. I support the Me Too movement. But when a woman falsely accuses for financial reasons, she was hoping to get $350 million.
I'm sure Alan here has never had any power or money motive in his defense of high-profile millionaire and billionaires.
Suing Leslie Wexner, the owner of Victoria's Secret, she also accused him in private after accusing me in public, hoping to get $350 million. Where do I get that figure from? She told that to her best friend. Okay. I have that on tape. So I am welcoming this trial. This is the first opportunity I have to conclusively prove my innocence.
You get the idea.
He's a walking stereotype.
He's welcoming this trial, folks. It's a done deal, because he knows that these courts are corrupt, and if they have the right people on the inside, they can do whatever the hell they want. He even said it himself. He's gotten admitted murderers off just because this is how they play the game. It's not about morals. It's not about being right or the truth. It's about manipulation. That's what it's about.
It's like, but I can win. It doesn't matter. Like truth. I think I can win this. Baruch Leibowitz. I don't think that's not as famous as the Polanski case, but that he was also his lawyer, and that guy raped a 13-year-old boy. And he was also a lawyer for Jonathan Pollard.
Yeah.
One of the largest
the spy. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So we've got Pollard and Maxwell just 2 degrees from Epstein already.
Yeah.
I mean, really, his groomer's father and his lawyers, the one that he defended. And it doesn't stop there. There are so many overlaps with Israel. That's why we encourage everyone to go watch these map videos, because I think it's easier with a visual.
Now, are they on your BitChute?
They are on BitChute. Some people said sometimes it loads, sometimes it doesn't, because that's how it is.
Yeah.
But probably should now. There's not as much traffic on it or whatever. But the first one's on YouTube, and then the rest are on BitChute. I can't post anything new on YouTube for 2 weeks, and then I really can't post anything, because if I do, they're going to call it hate speech.
Yeah.
You should see some of the videos they call it hate speech.
Well, of course. I mean, we know that they use that as a just thing that they could throw out to censor material and information that they don't like. They call anything they don't like hate speech, and then that's the only. And where's the trial? Where's the proof? It doesn't matter. It's hate speech, and that's it. Here's the map video. I can play some of this in B-roll here. In the meantime, while we talk about this, because there's some very important connections. Again, for everyone who is just tuning in live, I saw the audience number keeps going up, so there's a lot of people just tuning in. We're here with Ryan Dawson. We're talking about the supposed suicide of Jeffrey Epstein, of course, in the New York prison news from earlier this morning. And of course, it's just fascinating to just realize that they actually are moving ahead with this. That there's blatant cover-up, frankly, to get rid of the spider in the center of this web. But and this comes again a day after the documents had been unsealed in the latest Victoria Roberts, Jeffery, and Ghislaine Maxwell suit that's ongoing right now, and a lot of names are coming out there.
They verify what I had already said in this video. A lot of it, I forgot to mention. Just looking at that map too, the headmaster at the school where Epstein was supposedly teaching math. Had a 14-year-old girl living at his house who he molested. It was Gardner Dunton was his name. And so the headmaster of the school, he's not who hired him. I think it was Barr hired him, but Barr got pushed out. This guy gets pushed in, and it turns out he was living with a 14-year-old. And it was the same kind of situation. She couldn't afford to go to school there. No father in the house. And they said to the mother, like, oh, don't worry, she can stay with us. His wife, by the way, this is just like Bernard Carrick. His wife was dying of cancer, McGreevy. His wife was dying of cancer. Mm-hmm. And he has a kid come live with him to help. And then he's molesting the 14-year-old, but in exchange, paying her tuition and giving her a place to stay.
Oh.
Just got, and yeah, really. And,
yeah, I saw something from Barr because you brought that up. Let me see if I can bring in this source here for that. He said something about it. Yeah, an FBI investigation is going to commence or something like that. Barr, of course, have been roped into.
Donald Barr hired him, his dad, but that's not a real connection. Like when people are like, it's connected, I'm like, so he doesn't know he's a pedophile when he hires him, whatever. And he got pushed out of leaving the school.
Okay.
But he didn't check about the fibs because Epstein said he went to Stanford, and he didn't. I mean, he went to NYU and dropped out. He shouldn't be teaching math at a prestigious high school. He shouldn't be teaching high school anywhere. I mean, he doesn't even have a college degree.
Of course not. Yeah, here's the latest from New York Times.
Nowadays, that doesn't mean anything, but it used to. I mean, college degree doesn't mean anything now, but
yeah. Quickly, here's the New York Times new article. Jeffrey Epstein dead in suicide of Manhattan jail. Officials say Mr. Epstein, the financier indicted on sex trafficking charges, was not under suicide watch at the time of his death, just as you said.
They took him off.
They took him off. And when did they take him off? Do you know? Was it like a day before or something? Or let me see if they can present details about that here.
I think it was within the week. So he probably was on for 2 weeks and they took him off. And in that window of opportunity, finally
they struck. Yeah.
It's hard to get into, but it's like, if you know that and you know how important this person is, how many people want him dead, how many very powerful, wealthy people, and even to prevent him from killing himself too, like you need to be glued to this guy. But the fact that, in the past, he expressed interest in freezing his brain, and wanting to stay and spreading his DNA, and that he was vigorously meeting with lawyers and preparing a defense. They had until Halloween to review all of this, all of the discovery, prepare a defense. Why be doing that every day? Just because you don't like being in the jail, so you want to go to the air-conditioned room and talk to your lawyers or something or whatever? I mean, that's possible.
I think they're going to try to kind of push this.
You have money to do that every day,
Yeah, I think they're going to try to push this line too. That it was like, he was living in a mansion all that time, and he just kind of got cuckoo in this tiny small cell. Blah blah blah. We're going to see some lame excuse essentially. Right, and if the FBI opens an investigation into this, they're essentially going to say, "Oh well, there was some Again, very limited what he can have access to in these cells, even in extreme cases. I think I saw Angelo John Gage tweet about this too. They everything is taken out, everything is stripped. There's nothing you can hurt yourself with and stuff. So that's a very important detail. What is it going to use as an excuse?
Maybe he hung himself with his underwear.
Well, he had them on. No, that was Dershowitz who
he had
said
them
that.
on his neck.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's exactly. That's right.
If that's what happened, if he hung himself,
legalese, folks.
Calling it now. He hung himself with his underwear. That would be something else. That would be the way to go for a sex offender too, to die by choking on your own underwear.
Now that would be a red flag. Absolutely.
He kept it on.
Yeah, he kept it on, folks.
Which is so disgusting.
Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
Show me the lie.
All right, and
Dershowitz was working with Jared Kushner on the supposed peace plan for Palestine and Israel, and Kushner's father went to jail for illegal campaign financing, but part of that also was witness tampering, which included setting up honey traps, including on his own brother-in-law, who took a hooker to a 2-star motel called the Red Bull Inn, real classy, and he actually approached police officers in New Jersey first to get a high-end prostitute to rope in his brother, because he was fighting with his brother-in-law, excuse me. He was fighting with his sister and his older brother about what he had done to help finance Governor McGreevey of New Jersey. Was he set up a bunch of dummy companies and were laundering money through those. And he did a couple in his family members' names. And they're like, we want more of the profits from this. He did it without telling them. So they were fighting internally. And so he tried to set them up with sexual blackmail.